Okay, folks, right here we've got Sneedville campaign, Sneedville war, battle of, I think it's 25 East. We've got the King's portions down here, the slightly smaller forces of Knoxville up here. Basically, we got one side coming in off of here, slash from the north, other side coming in off of the east slash south. So we kind of just arrayed. Last time we fought down a valley. This time I kind of rolled, said, well, we'll fight down a valley on, rolling a d6 on a 3, 4, 5, or 6. On a 1 or 2, we'll fight across the valley. We'll have each side crossing over the mountains, kind of, or going down our ridge tops. And what do you know, we rolled a 2. So here we are. We've got the Knoxvillians arrayed on this side and the King's portions arrayed on this side. And we're just going to kind of get after it. Like I said, there's one more infantry regiment down here for the King's portions. They do also have 2 batteries of artillery. But other than that, it's relatively even, you know. So let's see what we got. Here we go. Come back after turn 1. Okay, Battle of 25 East, end of turn 1. Kind of disappointing. The King's portions tried to soften up something over here with any sort of artillery fire. It didn't work. As you can see, the lines are getting closer. Firing range for the most part is between 3 and 5 inches in this game, max, just because I'm playing in 2 mil, so we got to get pretty close. So again, we're straddling this road. We're going to start seeing a whole bunch of fire interspersed across the entirety of the line. Hopefully we'll have some charges, as you guys can see, in slightly different fashions. We've pulled a bit of a Caesarean move and reinforced our right flanks. We've got cavalry on the wings. So there we go. Again, we're fighting kind of in a valley. We got a ridge line over here, a ridge line over there, but we can't fire all the way across the ridge line. So here we are, end of turn 1. Let's go, dude. Okay, as you guys can see, one turn made a big difference. We had some rather decisive stuff go on. Ignore those. Those are casualties. Those are casualties on that side. But so, turn 2 was big. The Knoxvillians managed to grab the initiative and use that along with some pretty good rolls for command points to initiate cavalry charges on both sides, kind of what you would expect. There was a ton of just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of fire. Just, we got both lines into range to fire musketry. Musketry went back and forth. Lots of casualties. You can see we had some units retreat. We actually had this unit right here, which looks to be the Hawkins line retreat, which then triggered the Dollywood Exiles to retreat as well, which then put further DMZs on the Bays Mountain Boys due to the interpenetration of them running past. You can see that there's a casualty been inflicted here, a casualty inflicted here. The leader being attached to the lieutenant for the King's portions couldn't even keep them up there. More over, we've got some desultory. We got the, like I said, well, let's move up here. The White Pine infantry started out only as like 400 and something men strong up here for the Knoxvillians. Real damage. Dandridge line, super damaged. And then we've got 2 Morristown infantry regiments really having problems. We'll get to the charges next. Very close to not holding on the Knoxville side. They outlasted Kingsport just barely. Okay, now for charges on, I guess this would be the west side of the field. The 2nd Kodak Lancers charged the 1st Johnsonville Lancers, and due to the fact that they had that lieutenant with them, spurring them on, and they got initiative, thus they got the charge off, they drove the Johnsonville Lancers back. That pushed, again, interpenetration through these 2 reinforcing lines of cavalry, causing a casualty and an extra DMZ over here. They rolled pretty well. They also have been demoralized a little bit, but not nearly as badly. On our far side over here, we've got, I believe those are the Morrisville Hussars who charged the King's Portion Lancers over here. Again, they got the charge off. It was nowhere near as disastrous for the King's Portion Cavalry, but them retreating back did add some DMZs onto this battery. So that first Greenville battery might be vulnerable to some fire if it takes fire this turn. That being said, it's overall rather 1800s. You know, we've got musket fire rippling up and down the line. We've got cavalry engaging on the flanks. Both sides are taking pretty stiff casualties. We just had some morale issues cause a retreat on this side. We'll see if the Knoxvillians want to push through that hole and try and take advantage. They can't really get around either flank. If anything, they're closer to getting around this eastern flank, but the western flank is still pretty secure. We've still got two big cavalry regiments here. If the King's Portions can get initiative, then they'll probably be charging forwards. So turn 3 should be interesting. This might not be a very long one. We might just cut our losses on both sides. All right, Sneedville War, Battle of 25 East, turn 3. More fire going back and forth. We had a charge here. The White Pine line has ceased to exist. It is gone. The charge was eventually driven back due to excess casualties, so we've got that back here. Again, we're just kind of semi-reforming our line on the Kingsport side. We've inflicted some good DMZs all up and down. Again, you can see those. This left flank is actually coming in pretty strong here. The right flank has, by and large, had some trouble, but so we've beaten each other up. We'll see how it goes. All right, Sneedville campaign, end of turn 4. I believe this is actually probably going to be end of game. It would make more sense to break this here as opposed to continuing to grind. At this point in time, you can see the King's Portion left center has just kind of fallen back. We've got a whole ton of cavalry here. This rule set isn't super duper conducive to charges, which is understandable. They're hard to pull off. So they've kind of just been firing back and forth at each other without too much effect. It's the infantry that have been doing the brunt of the fighting. Same thing over here. We've got a bunch of cavalry. For whatever reason, the guns in this game just aren't able to do anything. The Knoxvillians have lost the entirety of the what's left of the White Pines line. And then they've lost smaller chunks of infantry and some cavalry over here, as well as they've taken, obviously, casualties along the line. On the Kingsport side, again, we've got cavalry casualties, infantry casualties. We haven't lost any full infantry regiments like the, well, I say full. We haven't lost any infantry regiments like the Knoxvillians did, but our infantry and cavalry have both been worn down pretty well. So we will, we'll see how that pans out in terms of end casualties. I think how this goes, I need to roll for it at the end of turn 5, but I mean, unless honestly, those cavalry over there for the Knoxvillians are not in any state to be charging this turn. These cavalry also are not in any state to be charging either the guns, this relatively unhurt line of cavalry, or this line of infantry. So at this point in time, the Kingsport forces have fought real well and have fought to the point where I don't think the Knoxvillians are going to be pushing them back onto the hill. I think no matter what, the Knoxvillians aren't going to be charging in this turn, so the King's Forces are going to be able to pull back, sit on their ridge line here, and let the Knoxvillians kind of leave the field, because there's no way that the Knoxvillians are going to charge up that hill to get to them. So that's probably going to be the end of the Battle of 25 East. I will come back momentarily when I figure out casualties, but we've got obviously sizable casualty figures, or sizable casualty piles, and then we've got to figure out all these DMZs, what they mean as well. So there we go. Outstanding. All right, folks, what we got is kind of our number of, I apologize for the sloppiness of this. I can go back and send these to you, John. But so what we've got is number of men as they leave the field and a number of men that will be recuperating and back in service in a couple of days, or whatever that period of time is. But so we've got the White Pine Line. They started off barely above strength to actually be on the field, but they did flee due to excess casualties and everything else. They ran off the field. There might be 200 guys left out of their 750-man regiment originally at the start of the campaign that reformed at camp. The Dandridge Line will have 660. First Morristown will have 645. Second Morristown will have 720. Third Morristown veterans didn't take any casualties. Jefferson City Dragoons will have 490. Kodak Lancers 660. Second Kodak Lancers 690. Morristown Hussars 630. The Greenville Rifles will have 570. The first Kingsport will have 675. Second Kingsport 470. The Hawkins Line will have 555. The Bays Mountain Boys will have 600. The Dollywood Exiles will have 555. First Greenville Battery lost a fair amount of guys, 705. Second Greenville Battery didn't take any casualties. The Rogersville Dragoons will return with 585. The first Johnsonville Lancers will come back with 555. The second Johnsonville Lancers 540. And last but not least, the Kingsport Hussars with 630 men. Neither of our commanders or the lieutenants did suffer casualties. It was close a number of times, but that did not happen. So there we go, guys. Enjoy. On to our next one.